Now you can see here that there's a gap here and almost the same amount of a gap here. So what I have to do next is sand this area down right here so that this metal will be almost touching this shoulder right here. So okay, it looks really nice like that, except it's not glued together yet. And I gotta figure out how I'm gonna glue it together, and this is where I often have a problem. I'm gonna use epoxy, I think, and sometimes I make a mess. Now, because I don't want to risk there being any grease or anything on the inside in this metal, like even fingerprints, I'm going to use a little bit of isopropyl here and just sort of swab around the inside, and that'll remove any grease. That way the epoxy glue is going to stick as best as possible to the metal. I don't think I can really do too good a job of sanding this. Probably end up scratching the outside. So I'm going to hope this will work. Now clearly I'm not going to need that much epoxy. However, I found that it's a lot easier to mix up a larger amount of epoxy more evenly than it is a very small amount. At least when you're using one of these double tube type dispensers. I've only got about 3 or 4 minutes to fool around here. So I'll mix for about a minute. Now here's where it gets ticklish. Got to make sure I don't get it on too thick. And that's where I often have a problem. Like right here, for instance, I think that's too thick. Okay. Now, make sure there's no epoxy on my fingers anywhere. I'll put this on here. I'm just going to rotate it around a little bit. Help get everything mixed up. Okay, now what have we got on the inside? That should be okay. And we'll let that set. And I'll turn it upside down and do it again for this piece. There, you see how slick that was? Now I can just throw this out. Now I did the other half exactly the same way, so don't worry, you didn't miss a thing. Now as for that piece of wood, as to what kind of wood it is, this morning a couple of friends were over for coffee and I showed it to one of them who is very knowledgeable when it comes to wood. And he looked at it for a few seconds and he said, "Oh, that's red cedar." And I said, "Yeah, except there was no odor when I passed it over the jointer." "Oh, well, that's different because you should have been able to smell the cedar." Well, then he didn't know anymore. So he didn't know, I don't know. There's only one guy that said he was 100% sure, and he thought it was redwood. So let's say that it's redwood. And I guess tomorrow we're going to have to cut this in half and take a close look at it. See how well the cactus juice permeated into all the little pores here in this. I think it probably went all the way through. but we'll know for sure tomorrow.